My name is Alex Turner, and I'm as ordinary as they come. If I had to tell you something peculiar about me, I suppose it would be that I have no shadow. I live in a cozy studio apartment in the heart of a bustling city. Every morning, I wake up at 7 a.m., take a quick shower, and have my usual breakfast of cereal and orange juice while scrolling through job listings on my laptop. I'm not one for extravagance or excitement. I find comfort in the predictability of my life. Well, about not having a shadow part, it's been that way for as long as I can remember. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, or that maybe I was standing in a spot where the sun couldn't quite reach. But as I grew older, I realized that no matter where I stood or how bright the sun shone, there was never a dark outline following my movements. I remember mentioning it to my parents when I was a child. They exchanged a look I couldn't quite decipher, a mixture of fear and resignation. My mother simply said, "It's nothing to worry about, dear, you're just special." And that was that. We never spoke of it again. As an adult, I've learned to live with my shadowless existence. It's a minor quirk, really, nothing much to it. After all, what's a shadow but a dark patch on the ground? Despite that, I'm quite proud of myself for living an active lifestyle. Take my neighbors, for instance. I've lived in this building for 5 years now, and I've never seen another tenant. The hallways are always silent, the other apartments perpetually dark. Such lazy folks, I don't know. Do they not even need groceries? Sometimes late at night, I hear scratching and moaning from behind their doors, but I assume they're just nocturnal. To each their own, right? My apartment is on the top floor of an old converted warehouse. It's a bit quirky. Sometimes the lights flicker erratically, and there's a persistent cold spot in the living room that moves around. But that's just old buildings for you. Mrs. Abernathy, my landlady, just chuckles when I mention it. "Oh, Alex," she'll say, "you and your wild imagination. Next you'll be telling me the place is haunted." I always laugh along. Mrs. Abernathy is a sweet old lady, even if she does have a habit of appearing suddenly in hallways, as if she'd stepped out of the walls themselves. But hey, she's spry for her age. Good for her. Last week, I swear I saw her crawling on the walls like a spider, her neck twisted at an impossible angle. But when I blinked, she was gone. Must have been a trick of those flickering lights. She often asks me to keep the noise down at night. "The walls are thin, you know," she says. I always nod and apologize, even though I'm not sure what noise she's referring to. I'm a quiet tenant, mostly keeping to myself. Sure, there are nights when I wake up to find my bedsheets torn to shreds or claw marks on my bedroom walls, but that's probably just the result of some vivid nightmares. We all have those, right? Though I must admit, the smell of sulfur and rotting flesh that lingers in the morning is a bit odd. My daily commute is a short walk to the coffee shop where I work part-time while job hunting. It's a quaint little place called the Dusty Tome, owned by an elderly gentleman named Mr. Blackwood. He's a bit of a character, always going on about ley lines and cosmic alignments. Last week, he rearranged all the furniture according to some mystical geometry he'd read about. Now, customers sometimes walk in and find themselves back outside without ever reaching the counter. He can be such a prankster sometimes. Oh, I remember this one time. I woke up in the middle of the night, and he was stuck to the ceiling facing me, his eyes glowing red. He was staring at me, his mouth opening wider and wider until it seemed like it could swallow me whole. I didn't quite understand his prank, so I just went back to sleep. The books in the shop are fascinating. Some are in languages I don't recognize, all swirls and angles that give me a headache if I look at them too long. There's one book, a heavy tome with a lock that opens and closes on its own, that Mr. Blackwood says I should never read aloud. The words have power, he tells me, dead serious. I just nod along. He's always been into that fantasy mumbo-jumbo. Though last time I accidentally read a passage, the book started bleeding and screaming. Mr. Blackwood wasn't too happy about that. During my breaks, I like to sit in the small park near the shop. There's an old stone fountain there with a statue of what Mr. Blackwood calls a guardian spirit. It's an odd statue. I always feel like those stone eyes are following me. Sometimes when I'm alone out there, I hear strange sounds coming from it, as if it were crying. The water from the fountain turns red too sometimes, thick and viscous, smelling of copper. They should get the plumbing checked on that. It doesn't look quite the same with all the red on it. Oh, there she is, Miss Patterson. I see her from time to time, sitting on one of the benches at the park. She always sits silently without saying a word, though she sometimes breaks down and starts to sob. They tell me her whole family died, her husband and 2 kids, in a freak car accident. But from what I can see, she shouldn't worry. I can still see them, clinging onto her body tightly, with their blank eyes and torn, bloodied clothes. I give them a wave, but they don't seem friendly. Sometimes they turn their heads all the way around to stare at me, their mouths gaping like fish out of water. On my way home, I stop by the corner store for some instant noodles and energy drinks. The cashier, a young woman named Megan, is quite a rude person. Maybe it's her way of lightening the mood, but I don't find it appealing. Megan insists that there is no coffee shop called the Dusty Tome anywhere near here. She often says that I need a medical checkup or a mental asylum when I talk to her about my day. Once, she even showed me a newspaper with a headline about a fire that consumed an entire block years ago, including a bookstore. But that's nonsense. I was just there this morning. The walk home after work is usually uneventful, except for that one alleyway I have to cut through. It's always darker than it should be, no matter the time of day. And sometimes, I swear I see shapes moving in that darkness. Tall, spindly things that don't seem quite human. Their long, bony fingers reaching out to caress my face. But when I turn to look directly, there's nothing there. Just tricks of the light, I guess. The only genuinely strange thing about me is that I have no shadow. Oh, that makes me jealous sometimes. You all must never feel alone, right? Always having the company of your shadow. They talk quite a lot, don't they? I don't have one of my own, but I talk to the shadows of others. They tell me all sorts of things about their owners. Some even tell me their deepest, darkest secrets and their most terrible fears. And occasionally I meet the strange ones that just scream, wishing to be set free from their torment. I wonder if it's painful being a shadow, but I don't quite know what to do with all that. After all, I am just an ordinary person. Back at my apartment, every time I come back, I find a small, neatly wrapped package on my table. Inside, there's always a perfectly prepared dinner. I don't quite know where these meals come from. I assume the building has some sort of catering service, though I don't recall signing up for one. Or maybe it's just Mrs. Abernathy being generous. The food is always delicious, even if sometimes I find things in it that shouldn't be there. A fingernail, a tooth, or even some hair. As I get ready for bed, I catch a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror. For a second, I notice that my reflection lags. You know, reflecting my actions just a fraction later. Or when the reflection is doing things I am not, like waving or grinning a little too widely. These new mirrors are quite an odd thing. But all I think is, thankfully, I have a reflection. It would have been so much more difficult to get ready if I couldn't see myself, on top of not having a shadow. I climb into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin. In the darkness, I hear a soft whisper, as if someone's right next to my ear. "You are the bridge," it says, in a voice that sounds like rustling leaves and ancient stones. "The one who walks in both worlds." But that's just the wind, of course. I leave my window open a crack for some fresh air, you see? This late at night, I hear other voices too. Laughter and cries, dozens of them, echoing through the halls of my building. The neighbors can be pretty rowdy, I think, even if I've never actually seen or heard them during the day. As I drift off to sleep, I find myself wondering idly why I have no shadow. Maybe it's some kind of rare medical condition. Or maybe it's because I'm not entirely here, not entirely human. That's what Dad said one night when he was drunk, right before he tried to exorcise me with a kitchen knife and holy water that smelled suspiciously like vodka. But that's ridiculous, of course. Just the nonsensical thoughts of a tired mind, fueled by Megan's crazy stories and Mr. Blackwood's fantasy novels. Because I'm just an ordinary person, living an ordinary life. The only thing unusual about me is that I have no shadow. But that's normal too, right? right?